Hello everybody, welcome to a new episode of Banter Blitz. Isn't that exciting? What day is it? Tuesday? I'm back from a little weekend trip to Sweden where the most exciting news is I saw a very good movie called The Nice Guys. I highly recommend it. It's by this dude called, what's his name? Shane Black, I believe, who did a movie I really liked a while back called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. It's a very weird combination of I don't know what this genre is called. Crime, fiction, noir, and comedy. Anyway, it's funny and good. You should see it. Ryan Gosling is hilarious. Who would have thought? What else is new? I got a haircut, so I'm spending most of my day in front of the mirror wondering if I should do this or not. Yeah, I got a lot of problems in my life, and I hope you guys won't add to these problems by crushing me today in our usual thingy where you challenge me to a game of 3 minutes or 5 minutes, and I will try to not only crush you but also explain what is happening in my head while we play that game. And I have never known. I have never known. That's advanced English for you right there. I never know what's gonna happen. But let's get started, shall we? No, The Nice Guys is excellent. You gotta like this, whatever, buddy, comedy, cop movie genre, but the guy is really, really good at it. Oh, here you can see my test position. I crushed Claudia. But yeah. My score is not very good against Claudia, because normally I use her, she's one of the computer opponents, to set up this little graphic thingy, and sometimes I have to resign in order to start the show half on time. I'm normally reasonably on time, come on. Anyway, let's get going. But whom to play? Let's start with Payback. Isn't that a Mel Gibson movie? Payback? Ransom? Mel Gibson, before his image kind of went south, he had a bunch of these Liam Neeson style movies in the 90s, right? Wasn't Payback one of them? Anyway, it's a Norwegian guy called Payback, rated 1832. And I shall crush him mercilessly. Knight f3, d5. I'll go with c4. Normally I prefer d4 here because c4 allows d4, which I consider to be a good move, and I never know what to do against it. But I'll live with it, and let's be trendy and play b4. This has come slightly into fashion. Best move for black, in my opinion, is f6, intending to go e5. g6, of course, is also possible. But f6 is more popular to play. What's called e5 immediately. Well, g6, I have to admit, I've never really looked at this. I always assumed it was just slightly better for white. I'm mildly curious after ed4, which looks logical if he recaptures. I don't mind the structure. I was mildly curious what would happen if after ed4 he goes e4. When I thought knight e5 should be alright, but not sure. Anyway, now we have, random Benoni-esque structure. I'm not sure if white is really better here, but it looks kind of easy to play. I'll go fianchetto this bishop, then I'll go castles, and see what happens. c5, I guess I'll take. Not planning to keep this pawn forever, but might as well make him work a little for regaining it. Queen a5 should recapture the pawn, but then castles, queen c5, knight b3, and hopefully I can create some pressure. While I'm talking nonsense, I'm actually getting under some slight pressure here. Knight d2. I missed this operation with bishop f5 and knight b4, and it forces me to make some very awkward moves. I should have started with castles like a normal person, but I didn't. Probably because I'm confused by my giant hat on screen. Can I zoom out a little bit? I'm trying to do this so... Nah, never mind. We are gonna have to live. That's another thing that's been pointed out to me. I have a bit of a weakness for saying we gonna when it's we are gonna. Bishop h6. He wants to go bishop c1 and then take on d3. And I think I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and sacrifice an exchange. As much as it pains me to sacrifice material, I'm gonna have to do it. And in return, I will get pretty powerful bishop on this long diagonal, hoping for a quick checkmate with some queen h6, knight g5. That's unlikely to happen. But this bishop is still gonna be, hopefully, a handful to deal with on this diagonal. I'm not sure I'm better, but I do think that I have excellent compensation. I think I am probably better, even though I'm not gonna pretend like any of this was part of a long-term plan. You guys know my playing style too well for me to credibly talk about long-term planning. Speaking of long-term planning, no clue what to do. I'll go rook d1 now that we played f6. Feeling I should get my other bishop going and put it on d5 somehow. But so far Payback is playing extremely well and I do not like that. Aaron is pointing out that technically gonna is not a word and I'm not gonna be able to say it. Yeah, I'm not gonna go that far, but I am gonna extend my vocabulary to we are gonna instead of we gonna. We're gonna try to exchange these bishops by bishop d5 if he takes cd5. At least I get some rolling pawns in the center. Queen f7, he doesn't comply with my wishes, which I'm taking a little bit personally, gotta be honest with you. What have I done to make you disrespect my wishes, Payback? I'm gonna be... I should stop doing this. I will try to place my knight on the beautiful f4 square to increase pressure on the e6 bishop, forcing him to take on d5. When after c takes d5, not only do I achieve my nice pass pawn on d5, but I also gain the option of going knight e6, forking his pieces. Rook e8, he does not want to go along with that outline, and I can't blame him for that. But now I'm winning material back, which I like. Not quite sure how to do this though. I could just take, but then, yeah, I'm not that impressed with my position. I'll make some random strengthening moves and hope something drops. Problem with queen f4 is I'm no longer threatening bishop takes e6 for the next move, but it's gonna be very hard to unpin everything along this diagonal. Even though when I played it I missed knight b4 or knight e7. I expected this when I wanted to go here and create new threats like bishop e6 followed by rook takes b7. Which doesn't win immediately, rook d7, and I still can't see a way through, but it did seem to ask some unpleasant questions. While now it does feel like it's time to cash in. Bishop f6 doesn't work yet. That's too bad. Queen f6 works. Little trick. Winning by pinning. Now I seem to have emerged with an extra piece from all these complications. The usual complaints about the challenge queue should be public. Nah, I'll just prefer playing whomever I want, because else you can never please everybody. I'm really doing my best to play as many of these shows as possible and to play everybody at the very least once. That's why I always give slight preference to new guys. But yeah, I don't see a point in trying to structure it in a way, because you can never play everybody in a single session. So you're gonna have to rely on me choosing fairly, Solomonically, wherever that is. I also get a lot of complaints that I'm not playing enough strong opponents. Yeah, my priority is normally to give everybody a chance, but I also try to have like a bunch of strong opponents in every show, which is easy because we have a lot of strong premium members. Whom do I play next though? Grandmaster? Let's play a Grandmaster. Speaking of strong opponents, Tactical Player 92. Who's that guy? Peter Prohaska from Hungary. Very, very solid player as far as I know. So maybe he's trying to fool all of us with his name, Tactical Player 92, when he's not that tactical. I'll go with my main stuff. And yeah, go for this e6d5. I'm not sure if he's a Catalan guy. A lot of the Hungarian guys are Catalan guys. Or if he prefers knight c3 here. No, he goes with the Catalan. And mainly so I can plug my video series, and also because it's what I know best, I'm gonna play bishop e7, followed by short castles, the very classical main line. See what Mr. Tactical Player 92 has up his sleeve here. Queen c2 is the main line, a6. Nowadays everybody goes a4, queen c4 has very much fallen out of favor. I believe I gave a good recipe against that in my series, but this is still very, very trendy. Bishop g5. Kramnik recently started playing knight bd7 here. Now their popular move is a5, intending rook a6 sometimes. But I'll go with my recommended main line one more time. This can be a little tricky because people, I'm not sure if he's watching my video series, but they can prepare for these sharp lines. I think I had a game against another grandmaster in a recent show in this very position where I got into some mild trouble, but diligent worker that I am, I have not looked at it at all since. I haven't done my homework, and I also completely forgot what to do about knight bd7, about dc5, sorry. Was it knight bd7 or are you supposed to go h6 here? Oh boy. Used to have a really good memory, but it keeps betraying me more and more often. I'll go with this one, but I'm really not sure. Which is a bit sad. I'm sure I mentioned it in my series, but can't remember a thing. My point is if he goes b4, I want to go a5 and hopefully win my pawn back very, very quickly. But I do vaguely recall there was some line that gave white the two bishops or something. I have no idea how to do it. b4, a5 and then some move. I honestly can't remember. We'll see how it goes, what Mr. Tactical Player comes up with. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat a bit, but it always looks very weird during the show if I stare at it too much. Oh, this was the line maybe. Knight c3. If I have to go bishop c6, he can go b4, a5, b5. I would have to take here. What happens if I take here? Is that legal? Then queen e3, my pieces could get a little clumsy. Yeah, I wish I knew more theory. And I know a lot already. Maybe knight bd7 is wrong. I'll take here and try to figure it out on the fly. Queen e3 is the move I'm most concerned about. There he goes, very tactical. I'm going to retreat, which is probably not the correct way to play, but I'm too worried about some combination of bishop f6 or knight d5 or b4 messing up my construction. So now if he goes knight d5, I'm going to go knight d5, bishop e7, probably queen e7. And it looks like, if I'm worse, it's only very, very slight disadvantage. Still, I gotta look up this line. What else can he do? He could play a move like rook fd1, and I guess I'm going queen a5, and I can't see anything. Oh, hang on. This could bother me. Rook fd1, queen a5, knight d5, knight d5, rook d5. That could potentially be a problem. So I guess after rook fd1 I have to play some slow move like rook e8. Not ideal, but I'll roll with it. He takes immediately. ed5 I guess is possible. Just let me quickly count. Knight e3, bishop d8, knight f1, bishop anywhere. I'm losing material, can't do that. So I'll go with this, queen d4. Yeah, this is pretty much along the lines of stuff I was talking about. Very close to equal. Maybe I'm slightly worse, but it's very hard to believe that it's serious. Of course, white is rocky solid, but frankly, so am I here. Don't know what to do, the usual. Is queen a7 ever a problem? Nah, he's not gonna do that. He's calling himself tactical player, but he really isn't. He's trying to fool all of us. To figure out what to do next. I'd like to keep things a little more complicated, but if I take too many liberties, it could also backfire. But maybe if I'm given the chance, I'm gonna jump here. Looks a little suspect. The most solid move would be a move like h6 and just see what happens. And yeah, I'll do that. Not sure if I can keep looking into the mirror after doing it. But it's not really a mirror, it's a camera, so I guess we're gonna be okay. Yeah, 95. Come on, dude. Let's spice this up a little bit. Not gonna be able to do it. I guess queen b4 sort of equalizes. Bishop d5, ed, queen d5, queen a4. Yeah, not all that exciting, but I don't think I'm worse. Very capable of missing stuff like rook d4, queen b2, rook d5, but then I still have queen b1 check, so it doesn't seem to work all that well for him. What else is there? Gonna be hard to win this one, and he's only quote-unquote 2797. So even if I manage to survive, my rating would take a hit here. Who doesn't hate their online rating taking hits? So we got this, where I guess I still have to be a little careful, but it should be equal. I'll try to somehow win a pawn, while blundering rook g4 and all kinds of mating attacks. By rook g4 I still have f6, so it's not quite the end of the world. Also, it's not in tactical player's style to go rook g4. He goes b4, that's more in his style. And I'll continue my pawn chase, even though after queen h5, not really getting anything. Very hard to complicate the situation here. Can I try somehow? If he gets an e3, it's gonna be hard to attack anything, really. Don't see it. Nah. Could go g6 maybe. Queen h6, rook e2, rook d8. No, that's also equal. Maybe I should have given a check and then gone g6. Yeah, that was uncalled for. Exciting game of exchanging lots and lots of pieces. What can I tell you? He's probably gonna give a perpetual. Oh no, h4. It's impossible to win such a position unless something dramatic happens. But you never know. Dramatic things might be just around the corner. But yeah, there's nothing to do. My king is too weak and it's gonna end in a perpetual or in me blundering some kind of mate. More likely in a perpetual. But I'll give the mate blundering a shot here. Is there a mate? Might very well be. Oh, but time is running out, Tacti boy. Can't take that. Very scared of blundering a mate. Never scared of capturing pawns. I want to take a4. All right, you can have it. Queen f4 is still a draw. That's a pity. Come on, this is winning. I know my pawn endings. Yeah, of course, time travel played a big role there, was very balanced all of the game. But that's what often happens in these Catalans. It's gonna be very hard to create winning positions, but thanks a lot for the game. Tactical player 92. Drama. Whom do we play next? I don't know. Maybe Night Killer 000 from France. if Mr. Knight Killer is around. Is that a play on words? Are you a serial killer at night and you're trying to mask it by using the extra the extra K to make it sound like a chess reference? Or do you just really hate knights? Then you should go bishop g5 followed by bishop takes f6 here. Knight c3, I'm gonna go with the good old Vienna dc4. e3 is not the most challenging move. e4 is much harder to deal with because after e3, this knight on c3, believe it or not, is a little misplaced and black gets fairly easy play. a6, b5, c5, knight bd7. And these pawn structures after dc5, that often happens. Even though they're symmetrical, I believe there's plenty of play in these positions. And once again, this knight on c3 can sometimes turn out to be slightly misplaced. So I actually think they're easier to play with black. Knight b7, castles, and make something happen. So I'm very comfortable with these e3 positions normally. The critical way for white to play is to push e4 and e5 ASAP. But that also leaves some weaknesses behind. Bishop e2, Knight Killer seems to be concerned about his knight on f3 getting killed and is offering a queen exchange. Not gonna be able to do it though. I want to keep these queens on the board, and yeah, bishop d2. We can see his whole setup looks a little bit passive, and hopefully I'll be able to use that to my advantage. One plan is to go e5 and e4, which normally I reject, even though here it could be objectively correct. Trying to kick this knight away and gain some space. Another plan is to just keep developing with our queen b6, rook fd8, and often you also want to get in bishop d6, followed by knight e5 later in the game. So yeah, it's pleasant for black to play because he has more plans available. Well, for white, it's not that obvious what to do. I'd probably consider a4 to provoke b4. But yeah, queen e1, you can already see he's struggling a little bit to come up with anything constructive. Well, for me, I have plenty useful moves to make. Keeping an eye on the chat here. Please take new players. I'm doing my very, very best to do so. What else is going on? Asama beat you? Not sure who that is, but yeah, plenty of people beat me, so it's very, very possible. Someone says I was being checkmated in that last game. Didn't see it, but wouldn't rule it out either. And yeah, I'm aware I often lean forward when trying to calculate. Also, yeah, I gotta zoom out a bit. I'm not happy with this camera being all up in my grill. But that's what we're gonna have to live with in this show. What else is going on? I often play the England Gambit. Is there any chance you'd fall for its main trap? Nah, not gonna happen. Sorry, sir. Not sure what the main trap is. I guess you mean this queen e7, bishop f4, queen b4 check. No, that's stuff I also got excited about as a younger man, but not so much anymore. I'm so grown up. And I spotted a trick. Grabbing a pawn, which, yeah, is pawns and movies. Those are my hobbies. Just gotta make sure I'm not running into any knight d5, but no, I'm not, because I have a little queen check if push comes to shove. No idea what that expression means, but why not use it anyway? What I was talking about is knight d5 here. I'm sure there's many possible replies, but the easiest is queen b8 check or queen d6 check. Sidestepping all these potential problems. And if that doesn't work, I'm a healthy pawn up. Knight e4 is a legit attempt to cash in on the same idea. But once again, I might be missing something stronger here. Maybe just rook c1 was better. But I like to have things cool, calm, and collected, and protected. So I'm just gonna take and do whatever. h6, create a luft, and enjoy my extra pawny. Speaking of pawny, I heard genuine pony earlier today. Not sure why, but I liked it. It's a good beat. Sounds like a dude. I forgot what I was gonna say. It's a good beat. That's the Main story. I'm thrilled about Durant going to the Warriors, which I understand some people are saying is the same thing like LeBron going to Miami in the days, and that was the origin of all my rooting against LeBron, but it's a little different. Durant did it in a less douchebaggery manner, in my opinion, and yeah, my view on basketball is very simple. I get the most enjoyment if the Cavs make it to the finals and lose there. They made it to the finals and won there this year, so that was very painful for me. And this new Warriors super team, not only should they dominate, but they're also going to be a lot of fun to watch, the style of basketball. So it made me happy. I was never a big OKC guy, but of course, people say it might make the Western Conference a little less competitive, but I do believe that people do enjoy super teams and all the action around them, so it's going to be a lot of fun to follow. I'm very happy about it. And I believe I tweeted that much. Some requests for series. I'm actually going to start recording tomorrow, but probably not any of the requests, but we have one, if not the most famous chess trainers in the world around. None other than Mr. Mark Dvoretsky, and usually I use these famous people around to teach me stuff, so I believe we're gonna do some endgame series, like everything you really need to know about the endgame, because I don't know anything. That's a bit of a lie, but not a big exaggeration. And maybe he's also gonna teach us how to calculate properly. Not quite sure what we'll get done, but it's a big honor and a great chance for us to have Mark Dvoretsky around, and I'm really looking forward to doing these videos. I'll play the idiot co-host and ask dumb questions, and he's gonna drop knowledge. So that's gonna be fun to do. Then we have a bunch of live tournaments coming up. Like, what is coming up? I'm not sure what we're doing about Bilbao and Dortmund, but I'm guessing we're gonna do something. There's also... am I getting mated here? Let me just quickly look. No, it doesn't look like it. There's also the British Championship, where I believe our boy Lawrence Trent will stop by and give us input on the British Championship. So a lot of stuff going on. It's going to be a busy month. But I'm looking forward to all of it. I'm looking forward to crushing Night Killer. Sorry, I haven't elaborated much on strategy in this game. I'm a pawn up and I have an initiative currently threatening Queen E2, followed by checkmate. So Night Killer is in trouble, even though he did kill off both of my knights. He goes Queen G3, which stops Queen E2 followed by checkmate, but it does allow, first of all, more pawn grabbing. Also Queen takes G3 was possible with a completely winning rook endgame. But Queen E4 looked like an easier way. This is a check. Planning to give a check of my own when given the chance. More checks incoming. There goes the queen. Yeah, it's all nonsense. This fake outrage about people joining a better team. Everybody's criticized either for not prioritizing winning and making a money grab, and then when they prioritize winning, they're being jumped at for, not staying true to their team and not trying to beat their rivals. Ask Karl Malone how he feels about not changing teams, staying loyal to Utah, never winning a title. He did try with the Lakers later, but didn't really happen for him. Anyway, enough basketball talk for now. Let's try to find one new guy. Looks like I played most of you already, which is great. Oh, I didn't play this guy? The name sounds familiar. Maybe I tried to play him. Maybe he got upset about my Dutch jokes. Not my Dutch jokes, just my ignorance about the Dutch team. I still haven't watched a lot of Holland matches during the Euro 2016. I think that's what Dan Schoenberger, is that how you pronounce it, was talking about. Anyway, what do? Let's transpose to the Slav. Which opening is sexier than the Slav? We try to neutralize white's pressure in the center. And now, I normally play e6 here, but might as well change it up every now and then and go for the mainline Slav. Knight e5 is the exciting sharp stuff, e3 is the more solid mainstream stuff. Both playable for either side. e3, as I said, is a little more solid. We'll see what Dan has in store. I'm not a big specialist here, but, I know a little something. e4 is a critical move. And bishop g6, bishop d3. Goes rook d1. I'll go bishop g6 anyway. Now it might be a little harder to get an e4 because now I can seriously consider taking on c3 and taking on e4. And if white can't get an e4, then black tends to have a very easy play where I have queen a5. Get the rook somewhere, prepare c5, and not so easy for white to do anything constructive. He might be thinking about knight e5, and maybe I should have thought about that too. I was assuming that I can take de knight d7 with a weird structure, but it doesn't seem too unfavorable for me. Bishop d3, yeah, still trying to get an e4, but a little late maybe. Still, I think that's a decent move. Gotta give credit where credit is due. Try to scare him with the threat of bishop takes c3, but I'm not 100% sure I really want to do that. Actually, queen a5 might have been a little reckless because now you can go e4. Bishop c3 does look a little out of place, and else, yeah, it's not quite clear what my queen is doing there. Bishop d2 is a little more humble, and now maybe I can do something active-ish. c5 or e5? Guess I'll go c5. You never know. I don't think e4 is an option anymore, now I'm too active. But of course, you can play it safe with white take here, take on c5, go queen b5, whatever. Not the most exciting position known to men. And men know many positions, so it's hard to be the most exciting position known to men. He goes knight b5 immediately. Also, nothing wrong with that. Does that knight want to jump here, or are you just pretending to do so? Done. What do I know? I have a feeling I'm playing a little carelessly. Yeah, cd4 was very careless. Time to focus, because now he can go bishop b4 followed by rook d4. Not the end of the world, but he might even build a small initiative. And I don't like dealing with initiatives, big or small. Didn't even like the Dharma initiative. That reference is probably like 15 years, 10 years too late. Yeah, this is mildly unpleasant. Not horribly unpleasant, but mildly unpleasant. I'm gonna have to get my act together to avoid cursing. To trick down from here on. Let's rook d1, and yeah, this c takes d4 was very slow move. Thanks for the praise, Tactical Player 92. Very appreciated coming from grandmasters, and I hope I kept the insults to a minimum. Nah, I don't think I threw any in there. Rook d1. I'm gonna up the self-insults if this doesn't work according to plan, and I really don't like my position. It's a little unpleasant. Symmetrical structure, but his pieces are better. And yeah, I have to work to keep them out of my business here. Knight can come to d6, b4 is in the air. Not a happy camper. And yeah, I'm well aware Holland did not qualify for Euro 2016. Should not run that joke into the ground. I haven't watched a lot of football. Seriously, I was attending this wedding over the weekend, and I had to sneak out of there to watch the penalties between Germany and Italy. It was a little awkward. I found some Indian restaurant nearby, but for some reason they were all rooting for Italy. So it was a little awkward, but not too awkward. And who doesn't enjoy a little awkwardness? Anyway, I've seen that. I'm obviously gonna watch Germany, France. I don't really like Germany's chances. France at home, all these dudes are injured, or especially my boy Hummels, whom I like, can't play because of 2 yellow cards. Heard Khedira's injured, Gomez is out, so things will be tough. I refuse to believe that Germany is gonna lose, but I believe France is a small favorite at this point. As for the game, I'm not sure there's any favorite. I believe the position has become more or less equal, and I'm gonna have to work pretty hard to unbalance the balance. Je ne sais pas. Knight g4. Dan very eager to exchange more stuff. which is understandable, but sometimes exchanges can also help your opponent. Not in this case, really, but in general, the mindset of I'm gonna exchange all the pieces and then it's gonna be a draw does not always work out that well. Then again, yeah, I'm not doing anything clever. I don't really have a plan. I had the feeling my knight wasn't doing much on c5, so I'm trying to reshuffle it to wherever. Maybe c6. h4 is hinting at h5, so you could have made a case for knight f6 as well, just to nip that in the bud. But I'm a simpleton. Once I've decided on one plan, I find it very hard to have any mental flexibility and think of something else. Some shows discussions, I've never watched Suits, nah. Didn't really look like it would be the kind of show I would be into. Yeah, looks like that's the show discussion. Nah, no Suits for me. I enjoy wearing them, but not watching them. Still don't have a plan, so I'll just try to scare Dans Homberger by going queen b4. Targeting some of these dudes. One of the problems in the mainline Slav is that you're committed to this a4 move, and sometimes 100 moves later the b4 square can turn out to be a weakness. Having said all that, I still consider the position to be equal, and I'm just trying to win on time as usual by making random moves slightly quicker than my opponent and hoping that things will turn out okay. Yeah, the good old soccer versus football discussion. I don't really care. I'm so Americanized that I'm comfortable with soccer. But, nah. In German it's Fußball, so it's a bit strange for me to call it soccer. Rook d7, am I getting mated? I would not enjoy getting mated, but I don't see it. And if I don't see it, I shall grab the pawns. Queen f4, I guess. But worst case, and probably best case scenario, I can go rook f8, cover f7. Queen f3, same thing, but slightly worse version, because it gives me the extra option of knight e5. Forking and defending. Can't ask much more from a move. That ends the game. Thanks for the game, Dans Homberger. I really hope I'm not mispronouncing that. Who is next? This is a noob. I'm not sure if he's a noob, but I have never played Mr. Ixamon86. What does that mean? I guess it's just a version of his name. Maybe it's Ignacio something. And 86 would be my guess, is the year of birth. Snitcher is supposed to mean the one who snitches off pieces. Snitch is a snitch. Doesn't matter if you add an ER to it. Still. Sorry, I'm studying the chat. But some Better Call Saul mentions. I actually gave up on Better Call Saul. I really enjoyed the first season, but the second season was just so slow with this. What's it called? The Sandpiper case. Was it Sandpiper? Whatever. This case he was working. And nothing happening, so I quit somewhere around episode 5 or 6. I might revisit it. I still think Bob Odenkirk is great, and the aesthetics, whatever you want to call it, is great. But it got a little dull, so it was on my nice to watch but not must watch list. I haven't caught up with it since. My theory about it is that after the slightly unexpected success of season 1, that they decided, okay, we had planned to complete this character arc of the dude becoming Saul Goodman in like 2 seasons, but this is going so well, let's stretch it to 5 seasons. And therefore, yeah, they took their foot off the gas and it got just too slow, even for my highly sophisticated and patient tastes. Can't say that with a straight face. I don't know what to do. Generally want to set up this battery, bishop c2, queen d3 at some point, but I can't decide on the right timing. I think I'll take my time. Go rook c1, bishop b1, then queen d3, h4, whatnot. Normally, whenever you go knight d5 and black has to go cd5 in these structures, white is supposed to be seriously better because the bishop on b7 is not doing a whole lot, and there is always the potential of a kingside attack, queen d3 to provoke g6, and then make something happen on these dark squares. All easier said than done. Now I'll start with h4, because queen d3 does not run away. It's going to provoke g6, and it's nice to be able to have a little hook there with h5. Knight b4 only stops my cruel intentions very temporarily. And here they come. Knight a5, all logical, but hopefully all too slow. Looks like a decent idea, or at least I hope it is, to exchange his dark square bishop and then try to use the weakened dark squares in his camp. Queen d8 is a good move, actually, missed that. But still applies. I hate sacrificing pawns. I have a feeling I should be doing it, but it does give me a great amount of pain to give him that b2 pawn. I'm still questioning if I made the right call here. It's so painful to part with my hard-earned pawns. My game is also not well suited for it. I'm much more of a pawn grabber than a pawn sacrificer, because now I have to do something to justify it. The pure thought of having to justify that is already stressing me out. It's my leaning forward calculating pose again. Yeah, I don't know. I'll make some fake active moves and hope something good comes out of it. The h6, something should happen, but I haven't really calculated it. Maybe knight f7 works, maybe something else works. We will never know. Queen d6. He's playing well. I'm missing all these clever defensive moves. But I'm still very much intending to checkmate Mr. Ixamon. New plan is h3 followed by queen h7 and jaque mate. h3, queen h7, checkmate would be a mistake, so he has to go f3, when I was hoping good things would happen to me after either queen h6 or bishop g6. Yeah, both seem to win. I'm not sure what the fastest way is, but this looks pretty efficient. Rook f6, bishop h7, and else f7 or bishop h7 will end the game. And Ixamon resigns. Yeah, this initiative looks very dangerous, but I really wasn't happy having to sacrifice that b2 pawn. It's a bit of a chess weakness of mine that I'm not that comfortable, even if I feel it has to be done, to sacrifice pawns. But I'm very comfortable eating them, so let's get back to that. Let's find someone who wants to give me all his pawns. Maybe CS01, who I've also never played, is interested in doing just that. 3090, so that makes me an overwhelming favorite. As mentioned, I get a lot of complaints for playing quote-unquote weaker players, but I feel, first of all, yeah, it's a business thing that every premium member should get the chance, and also sometimes it's more educational for all of us, because it gives me the chance to explain the plans, which I don't have, more clearly. d6, the so-called Steinitz defense. I know nothing. I guess I'm supposed to go d4 immediately to punish that. Now bishop d7. Is this the theory? I believe this is theory. This is why it fell a little out of favor. But it is a very solid setup for black. c5 immediately. I guess I should go here. Yeah, I haven't really used the chance to explain my very deep thoughts very clearly. Can I prevent him from castling? I'd like to. Something like queen f3, bishop e7, queen c6, check, knight d7. But I don't see how to proceed from there. So I shall play duller. Now let's be a little aggressive. I have a feeling this might be warranted positionally. To go g4, try to kick this knight away, grab a lot of space so I can put my knight on d5. But so far CS01 is playing very well, and I'm not even sure I'm better, frankly, if he goes c6 intending d5. I guess I'm better, but I'm not 100% sure. I have this trick. Now I don't have it anymore, but I was going to mention I could go queen g4 intending to go f6, winning a piece. f6 stops that, but of course it comes with a price tag because it's weakening many things. Not sure what to do. Here maybe? I don't like that move. Maybe I should have just played knight d5 or h4. My first instinct was queen g4, but then takes. Knight e5 bothered me. And yeah, queen h5, there is queen e8. Closing the king side is not really my ideal now, is to go h6, but queen e8 seemed to give me enough time gained to justify that decision. He has to go h6, I'm going to go rook e1, the queen has to return at some point, and maybe there is some questions to be asked. Still not clear, maybe still c6. Where to break through, but there is enough like light square weaknesses that I'm hoping for good things to happen. c6 queen e2, does that work? That seems to win material, right? Yeah, I believe so. Therefore c6 doesn't work. Once again he plays the right move, queen to d8 back, avoiding immediate material losses. Knight d5, rook e8, and I still can't see a way through. Then queen e2, there is bishop f8. I could win a pawn, but no, that doesn't feel right. Maybe I should just develop a piece. And the point is not so much to develop this bishop, but to be able for this rook to enter the game slightly more quickly. Knight b6, making all sensible moves, Mr. CS01. Bothers me slightly. Can't you make some less sensible moves just once in a while? Just take one timeout, go rook f7. Probably not gonna happen. Still, the pressure is mounting a little bit on the z-file, and I was hoping that this could stretch him past the point of being able to defend, because I'm threatening rook e7. It's very hard to defend everything. If knight c8, knight d5, and bishop d8 doesn't work because of rook e8. So it does look like I did manage to convert my light square domination into material gains. And is there anything better in life than material gains? The obvious answer is, of course not. What are you crazy people talking about? Leave me alone with your happiness. I'm not sure myself if I'm being tongue-in-cheek or not. I'm gonna go catatonic for a while and try to figure that out. I should also try to queen my a-pawn. But yeah, this game is pretty much over now. I'm a piece up. And the black king is so weak that the rook can never really join the game without abandoning the last rank. So this is game over. My plan is a5, a6, a7, well, rook b7, rook b8. Many winning moves. Rook f7 was also winning, but why not this one? And now, to point out his hopeless cause, I can use the fact that the rook can't move because of rook e8 to push my a-pawn here. No reason to make CS1 suffer unnecessarily. Let's find a quick, humane end by going rook b7, rook b8. Checkmate. And CS01 resigns. Who is next and why? Let's go through the list. Many challenges, always excited to see all these challenges. And I'll play Alex Fer, probably Alex Fernandez from Venezuela. Is that Venezuela? Yep. Greetings to Venezuela. Let's see what Alex Fer is up to. I'll go c5, a move I don't really like because after d5 I'm always miserable because of this space conceded on the very first move. But I'm trying to mix it up a little here, and I can't really go d4 e5 or d4 f5 or any completely nutty move like that. Therefore, this is a limit of risk I'm willing to tolerate. Knight c3 actually gives me a chance to transpose to a system that I played a lot as a kid, and I still believe it's kind of playable. This bishop takes c3, followed by f5, trying to control the e4 square. The black plan is to play d6, knight f6, queen a5, knight d7, knight b6, put pressure on these pawns. And it's kind of playable. I'm not sure, I guess I'm supposed to start with d6, not knight f6. Looks like Alex Fer is preparing e4, which of course is a noble cause. But with a bit of time lost along the way, I don't really mind it. I'll continue with my setup. No, ef doesn't look like a threat yet because of bishop f5. And if he has to make one more move, bishop d3, let's say, I can either go fe, fe, something, or something else. I'm sorry for the lack of sensible explanations. I'm considering short castles, which normally you never do in this line. On this position, it appears to have certain logic. Main reason was I didn't like knight b7 because of ef, and if I go fe, which would be the normal move, then fe, his knight gets access to the f3 square. Well, here I thought that after knight g4, knight f3, knight bd7, I can fight for the e5 square, and if I manage to put a knight on e5, that would be a tremendous accomplishment. I have to be a little careful about not getting checkmated with some e5, bishop g6 stuff, but it didn't seem to really hit home because of e5. I can always take with the knight covering g6. So that was my deep plan. How smart it was remains to be seen. And yeah, frankly, might not have been that smart because my position has one problem. Ooh. The problem I thought I was talking about was bishop e2, and if I take on f3, then gf, when it's going to be very hard to establish a knight on e5. But then I thoughtlessly played this, and then I realized after knight e5, rook f8, king f8, my king might be headed to his own funeral very, very quickly after some bishop h6, rook f1, queen f2. All looked kind of scary. So that didn't happen. h3 is trying to generate the same structure quickly. And yeah, not sure this game is great advertising for this opening at all. Rook takes, and what do I do? Rook takes, I guess. Still not particularly happy. This king really wants to be on c8, not g8. Just bishop e2, I would grab the pawn, but there would be a steep price to pay after f4, grabbing more space. And I do not like my position here. As you can see by my worried face. Bishop g5. You know what? Am I really willing to break all my greedy principles? I don't know. Nah, that would be too out of character. I'm keeping that pawn. I thought about making natural moves like rook f8, trying to actually get counterplay. But then I thought, you know what? Pawn is a pawn. He has a very good compensation, and objectively, I should still be worried. Rook g1, f4. A lot of looming trouble there, just like all these clouds outside. Lovely summer day in Hamburg in July, where it's only raining like 50% of the time. Still warmish. King g3, very creative. Whatever. It's still warmish, but it can start raining at any time. To deal with the tremendous heat, I've come prepared. Does this work? Yeah, here we go. It's probably a bit noisy. It's very refreshing. It's probably also a bit of a battery killer. And you could kill your thumb in it. Anyway, enough of my gadgets. Beautiful world we're living in. And back to checkmating Alex Fur. I should do something active at some point. Even though it's gonna break my heart to give up the e7 pawn. Feeling I have to do it, hinting at some g5 action. And bishop e7, rook e8, bishop h4, g5. Feels like it might end well for me. He does take a better decision, goes rook g1. When it's probably back to the old whining. I'll go rook e8 anyway, covering this pawn, maybe preparing e6, but I'm still very, very concerned. Very interesting game by Alex Fur. I'm guessing that's Alex Fernandez, but I can't be sure. I shall pin him, however, forcing him to go back to g3, which probably doesn't make him very happy. Not sure if it achieves anything, but it's always good to make your opponent unhappy by having him take back the last move he just played. There we go. And let's create confusion. Is this the right way to create confusion? Not sure. Let's do it. e5, f5, is that a problem? Nah. He should go to e6. He probably will. When I will recapture one way or another. We'll see how things go. What's up, chat? By the way, if I'm saying chat, I'm referring to the chat on Chess24. I never follow the YouTube chat, even though I'm aware there is a live chat there as well. But I'm keeping track of the one on chess24.com. Is it .com? Queen d2, self-pinning. That can't be right. That allows me to get rid of all these getting mated fears by going for the endgame where I just have these two passed pawns. This should be more or less winning for me now. The knight can go to e5, h6, g5 is coming. These, all of a sudden, is game over. Queen d2 was wrong. d6 was the only real chance to stay in the game. Of course, there is always the chance that once I've achieved a good position, I turn into my superficial, extremely arrogant self, celebrating victory before it's earned and things go wrong. But yeah, my position has improved dramatically over the last 5 moves. No reason to hurry. I'll just keep everything cool, calm, and protected. I've said this already, right? It's not even funny. But yeah, this is a very uphill battle for Alex Fernandez now. Oh, I could have won. No, maybe not. Now I will. By cashing in on this diagonal, but wouldn't have changed had he not done that long run. The position was just hopeless. Many ways to Rome all of a sudden. I will go the pawn grabbing way. And if I have to, also the rook grabbing way. Even though the pawn way does make me happier. Thanks for the game, Alex Fernandez. And yeah, I don't think I played well. I believe you can point to short castles as the root of my troubles. The king just doesn't really belong there. Should probably have played stuff like this. Sometimes black even plays knight e5 here, accepting this structure, and it's also quite playable, as long as the king can hide on the queen side. So, yeah, not a great opening, but interesting stuff against Alex Fernandez. Whom else can we play? Possibly. Let's go through the list. Not a premium member. Okay, I'll play one more new guy and then I'll try to find as strong of an opponent as I can amongst my challenges. For now, let's play against Guladarsh 1996. Once again, I am assuming that is his date of birth, but no, probably his year of birth. Would be weird to have a date of birth that is 1996. And let's see if he's there. If not, I'm gonna have to find someone else to keep the show rolling, because this is a highly scripted, highly paced show. We can't afford any breaks. 5. There he is. Goes 1 e4. I shall play the Sicilian. Which Sicilian though? Maybe it's time for a little calm. He goes g3. Doesn't want a calm. g3 is a very respectable move. The main move here is d5. When after ed, d4, normally you get some sort of isolated. Now, what's it called? Yeah, isolated pawn position. So I prefer knight f6. After d3 now, it should be fine to go d5. Normally instead of d3, they play either queen e2 or knight c3. Here my point is after ed, white would have to lose a tempo in order to play d4. Therefore, this seems like a much better version for me. Still, of course, it's playable what he's doing, but if you can't go d4 in one go, this should not be very scary for black. I'll just go bishop e7 castle and then develop according to the hand I'm dealt. b3 castle. No, it's becoming very tempting to go d4 now that this bishop has made it to b2. d4 blocks it out, and if he wants to free it, he has to go c3, which he does. And I could take, but it's also a little tempting to try to keep my space advantage by keeping a pawn on d4 and making it harder for him to develop with knight bd2. Knight a3, however, is possible. I'm trying to exploit the fact that this knight is currently hanging on a3, so he's not in time to take on d4 because of bishop a3. Guladarsh is ignoring that. That's, of course, helpful. I was trying to explore it to get my knight to c3, but now, if I'm not missing any drastic trickery, I'm just a piece up. Queen h5 maybe, but then, yeah, both knight f6 and bishop e6 seem to be just winning. So yeah, that didn't quite work. He goes queen f3. I'll go here. Simba7 is saying any stuff here. Well, technically, I guess I'm stuff, but I'm not sure what he's up to. European Youth Championship. I don't have a clue. I'm guessing we're showing some of that, but yeah, I don't really know. Will there ever be a German number one? I don't know. This Norwegian number one looks like he's there to stay for a bit. And yeah, one could give all the same old good old stories about, yeah, it's not really part of German or Western European culture to become a chess professional, blah, blah, blah. But nowadays chess is so globalized that I think you just gotta hope that you have a good guy from your country. Like if dudes are from Norway, the US, Holland, what else do we have in the top 10? I should know such stuff, but I do know there's lots of nationalities. It's all become a lot more random, and I should try not to get checkmated while speculating about random number ones. But this should stop it. He's gonna go queen h6. But dodged a bullet there by just being in time to go bishop f6. Stop the checkmating and emerging a clear piece up, which should get the trick done. Yeah, I don't know if the European Youth Championship is gonna be live on Chess24. I guess so, but I'm not sure. Yeah, there's little to say about the game. I am completely winning and gotta take a little care not to run into any scary attacks. But generally, these extra pieces are very useful animals. Not sure if f5 was necessary. It's a bit of an ugly move, frankly. But, yeah. What can I tell you? Piece is a piece and all that stuff. It's very useful to have more pieces than the opponent, because sometimes you can attack stuff and he can't really defend it because he doesn't have pieces. Like the e3 square. Much easier to cover. With... What was I gonna say? With the bishop on d2. Oh, not rook c7. I thought he would try rook c7. But still, I should stop messing around and somehow end this game. Like this, maybe? This is great camera work from yours truly. I'm sure you guys are thrilled to see my giant head leaning forward and calculating variations. My giant head concluded that this is checkmate. Thanks for the game. Guladarsh 1996. So what did I say? I want to find a strong opponent. Who do we have? Oh, what about this guy? Kebedosian 2650. Sounds Armenian, but has a Garry Kasparov profile picture and a Spanish flag. All that is very confusing, mixed information. He plays the Vienna. One of these openings I've never really bothered to study, to be perfectly honest with you. Queen f3, I've seen that move, but so hard to take this stuff seriously. No idea what I'm supposed to do. Knight c3 looks natural. Knight c6 could be a move. Knight e4, knight d4. Does that work? Looks like it should work. We'll find out. Normally people who play such lines, they know their little specialty stuff, but it's a little against the laws of chess to play like that, so I have a bit of trouble believing this is good. But as mentioned, never looked at it because so much stuff to do, and studying the Queen f3 Vienna is not high on the list. But of course, that is exactly the thinking behind doing that if you're white. I'll just make some half-useful developing moves. Probably all of this is whatever. Theory that people discuss on their annual Vienna players meetings. It's a weird position. I'm not 100% sure what I'm supposed to do. Then again, I never am. Go here maybe? That's a strange move. I don't like it. But he gives me a pawn. I like that normally. Some initiative to deal with in exchange for the pawn. But initiatives come and go. Pawns are forever. It's like diamonds. Bishop g5, knight e3 is my point, of course. Queen g1, that's very far back. I like this bishop, just because it's staring towards the general h7 direction. It makes him not a friend of mine. I don't think knight e5 was necessary or the best move. But keeping it simple, getting rid of that bishop can't be too bad. I think I want to keep this bishop, or does g4 bother me there? Yeah, g4 bothers me a little. So I'll take... I might have slightly mishandled this, giving him more play than he deserved. Yeah, I've drifted a bit here. Time to switch on focus mode. Oh, I've also been slow. Go away. Focus mode has not really worked. I'm just continuing to make very, very random moves. But maybe that is my way to focus. Random moves and cheap tricks. Oh, I missed rook d2, I have to admit. So does that work? He's not getting checkmated. That is too bad. Now I'm starting to panic. I've bungled this quite seriously. And he didn't get checkmated, which are all bad things. Plus I've been slow. So really not ideal. Yep, this is a draw. Not happy. That was dumb, but good game, Gustafsson. Congratulations. I'm sure this endgame was very good for me at some point, but yeah, lack of time and lack of brains brought me down. Congrats to Mr. Gustafsson. I don't like not to win every game. It's really messes with my mojo. So that's my sad face. Not sure how I can get a smile back on that face. Probably by crushing someone else is the only chance. Anybody whom I've never played here? Never played Michael Heinsohn, apparently. What's up, Chatster? So I'm refreshed for a while. Yeah, that was a bad game, really. But I was not mainly. I did forget about the time. Sometimes it happens to me. And I wake up and I'm down to a minute. And I get all panicky. Let's play Grunfeld against Michael Heinsohn. The Grunfeld is a good sound opening, which I always promise to study more, then I never do it. But I still play it occasionally. Bishop g5. Ah, yeah, there was like a fashionable line. At some point. D5 here though? No, that's not the fashionable thing. The fashionable way to play was knight f3. D5, now if I take, which I will, obviously, since it's a pawn, he has to go bishop d2 back. And then it's quite tempting to just take the exchange wheel. And Michael Heinzon already resigns. He mixed up something as c5, knight f3 is the theoretical line. Sorry, Michael Heinzon. That leaves us time for one, maybe two more games. Oof, this name is a little too long. I'm not sure it's gonna fit on the screen, but I'll play him anyway. Hernandez Araneda Fuente Al. That's too long of a username, but still happy to play him from Chile. And I shall play the Caro-Can, because I can. Oop, that was me trying to move. What is this thing doing here? Don't know. Is it a trash can or a seat? Maybe it's both. It's a trash can doubling as a seat. Not sure. Let us play the Caro-Can. e5, get the bishop out. I've dabbled with c5 here, but I don't think it works all that well. So I'll do the quiet stuff. And now I'll do the sharp stuff. c5, knight c6. A bit out of fashion. It's way more fashionable to play knight d7 and bishop g6 and that kind of stuff nowadays. But I've always enjoyed direct, concrete, move-by-move stuff. And c5 followed by queen b6 pretty much fits the bill. Knight c3, knight c6. And things can get crazy very quickly. Everybody go crazy. Looks like Andres Araneda Fuente Al, I'm not sure how it continues, knows the theory here. Played knight c3, knight c6. No, I think you're supposed to castle queen b2. I've played this line in a recent Banter Blitz already. Castles queen b2, queen e1 is the main line, with fire on board. There's other moves here. Bishop b5, I guess, is a move. But this is the critical line. And surprisingly, knight b5 is not supposed to be such a great move because of c4, believe it or not. You probably believe it, because I'm a theory nerd and I just told you. But knight b5, c4 seems to work well for black. Well, queen e1 is just very scary stuff. I think it was on this line where Caruana defeated Mr. MVL, amongst other things. But yeah, knight b5, c4, even though I'm sort of losing a rook temporarily, I still believe that this line is supposed to be fine for black. Queen b1 here, I'm not familiar with, but I'm not sure how much sense it makes either, because now I have time to parry his threat of knight c7 by either going long castles or king to d7. And I'm not sure what is to show for the investment. I'll go long castles. Yeah, I believe he's mixed up something. Instead of knight b5, you can play queen b1. That is a line. But to combine the two, I'm not sure quite is the time. It's a problem sometimes on these super sharp lines. You like recall bits and pieces and you know ideas, but you can't put it all together. Then things can go wrong very quickly. Anyway, before I conclude my victory lap, I thought I should think a little bit. Knight g5, I can go knight h6. Somehow I would be tempted to go knight d6 here with white, but I can just take either twice or once and then play f6. But in order to not have to think about that question after every move, go a6 here, pretty much forcing him to go knight d6, because knight c3, bishop a3 looks hopeless. And yeah, after knight d6, I'll take once for sure. Now the question is, do I want to slow things down by going f6, or do I just want to grab the pawn? And yeah, if in doubt, grab the pawn. Go here just to keep an eye on this guy. And then develop some pieces. At some point, it's useful to include some pieces into the game. But as we all know, grabbing pawns is always a higher priority than developing your pieces. That advice was a little tongue-in-cheek, boys and girls. Just a little. Yeah, let's spice it up a little. No need for that. I could just have gone bishop g6, then knight e7, knight c6. With the winning position, but couldn't see anything wrong with this either. Now the knight comes to c6, and sooner rather than later, this pawn armada of mine will have its say. At least I should hope so. Looks to me like the only constructive thing he can do is to play f4. Therefore, I will try to make that harder to get in. Rook f8 and g5 if I have to. And then one day I will start moving my pawns. Or my knight. Or my knight and my pawns. Or my pawns and my knight. You get the idea. I could also think about bishop d1, bishop a4. So maybe I should stop my nonchalant, is that a word? I think it is, but I'm not quite sure what it means. Nonchalant attitude toward him not being able to do anything and actually start rolling like knight d4, rook c7, c3. That kind of stuff. But 2 extra pawns in an endgame are normally a good thing to have. And here we go. Change of pace. Yeah, I don't think there's tricks to recall subtleties in the opening, and it's a lost cause to try to memorize stuff one by one like normally. I think you can see it many times in these videos where I can't recall theory. But normally, yeah, if you understand like why moves make some sort of sense, then it's a little easier to understand. But no, I don't think there's any like brain training involved to memorize theory, and I don't think theory is really that much about memorizing, but more about research and finding ideas. Memorizing is normally more of a short-term thing before a tournament game. There, sometimes you just try to throw as much information into your head as possible, in my case by repeating files or old analysis. If things are going well, and if I've actually done homework, very often you haven't, and you have to find something about your opponent's repertoire, but that's a lot more time consuming. But no, I don't think there's any memory tricks. Just, yeah, if you're interested in openings and spend time on them, good things will happen to your openings. If good things happen to your openings, sometimes you can take all your opponent's pieces, which is always a thrill. You can pre-move a bunch of moves while winning on time. Good game. Aaron Andres Araneda de Araneda Fuente Alba. And yeah, as mentioned, here Queen e1 is the critical move with total chaos. Queen b1, I believe, is also an option, which probably was on my opponent's mind when he went for this. Here after c4, knight c7 is what you're supposed to do, but surprisingly this is perfectly fine for black, because you pick up 2 pawns and wherever the queen goes you just develop very quickly, probably pick up the knight on a8. So this is a good line for black, and the research should be focused on Queen e1 here. And I'll play one more game, then I gotta get going. Pick up Mr. Dvoretsky himself, show him around a little in the lovely city of Hamburg. I will play against mainline novelty 79. He either found a novelty in a mainline on move 79, which is not unheard of, probably is unheard of, or he's born the same year I was born, believe it or not, 1979. Not 1879, but 1979. He's also Canadian. What's up, Canada? He might not be there. And my opponent blames Mr. Jose Cuenca. That's always a good place to come from. E4, do I want to go E5? What have I done? I've played Sicilian, Caro-Kann, I've played E5. What else is there? I never played the French because I promised my first coach to never do it. So what does that leave us with? The Scandinavian? I don't really know the Scandinavian. I don't think I've ever played this on the show, and I've never looked at it either. Not a big fan. d4. Ah, there's this crazy stuff. What do they call this? The Portuguese? Bishop e2. Doesn't look that challenging, but a solid move. I think f3 followed by c4. And some gambit lines is the main stuff. Here, I'm out of book, but it doesn't look like a position where you really need to be in book. Looks like now black is solid. Queen e2, either knight d5 or queen d5. I'll go queen d5 just because it's attacking something. And see what happens. f3, can I go knight c6? No, I guess that's just pointless after knight c3. I'm gonna be humble. Go e6. Castles. Actually, don't like my position that much. I'm gonna have to continue to be humble, develop some pieces. Generally, I guess this exchange of light square bishops should favor me, but it costs a bit of time and I'm not 100% sure. If this queen has a cozy home, I also have to worry about d5 before I castle, so I can safely say that my opening experiment has not really paid off. Castles d5 is unpleasant, so I'm going to go knight c6 and try to weather the storm after d5, ed5. But it's all very, very suspect. d5, for example, here, ed, cd, knight d5, queen b5 looks extremely unpleasant. I guess I can still castle queenside then and hope for the best, but not happy about it. Here, the normal move would be kingside castles. Queenside castles looks... nah, just looks bad. Can't talk myself into it. Because, yeah, white goes b4 or a3, b4, and the white attacks just much quicker than whatever I can construct on the king side. So now it's sort of a normal position where my knight is slightly misplaced on c6, but shouldn't be too terrible. Going rook a d8 because I want to put the other rook on e8. One worry is this pawn on c7 is always a potential target. Is d5 a threat? Maybe. Maybe not. We'll find out. I did a little body count and I concluded that I'm still controlling this square a sufficient number of times. Still don't know what to do. I'll play a6 just to rule out any knight b5 activities. b4, I'll go here trying to regroup this knight to greener pastures. If I manage to provoke c5, I'm fine with that as well. Sometimes maybe e5 is a move, but probably it isn't. Yeah, standard boring position. Bishop g5 makes a lot of sense. Trying to use that pin. I might have to go back after bishop g5, which would be a little sad. But I'll still do it, because I know zero shame. Unlike Cersei Lannister. My Game of Thrones references aren't even good. It's a bit sad. I'm gonna have to work on that. And pop culture-wise, yeah, we've covered basketball, we've covered The Nice Guys. You should watch it if you... Nah, just watch it, it's really funny. Ryan Gosling is very, very funny in that movie. Who would have thought the guy was a natural goofball? He's done some funny stuff, like this Will Ferrell sketch, The Knife Guys, but mostly he's been like, yeah, either the stoic, quiet dude in Drive, or yeah, in this everybody's girl's favorite movie, The Notebook, which I've seen, and I have to admit, it's kind of touching and a beautiful movie. I shouldn't admit that on camera. Of course, I haven't seen The Notebook. I would never watch crap like that. Not crap is the wrong word. What is the right word? It's also not filth. I don't know. I can't come up with a word, but I'm willing to part with my queen to get all of his rooks. And back to plan A, grab some pawns. I want to go rook d3, but then b5 bothers me a little bit, so I'll go rook a4 and b5, rook b4, which is greedier. Let's make a luft just in case we need it. And go back to grabbing pawns. Pre-move, huh? And no, you shouldn't have pre-moved that, but he's running very low on time, so it was his best shot to checkmate me on g7 before losing on time. Good game by Mainline Novelty 79. And that concludes our little program for today. I'm gonna drink this smoothie because I don't even think it's healthy, but it does include, you guys probably can't read it, and it's German anyway, so let's translate. Spinach, Grünkohl, I don't even know how to translate Grünkohl. Disgusting stuff that's supposed to be healthy. Obst and Weizengras. My food English is terrible. I have zero clue what all these things mean. This is not an endorsement. I just thought it had funny ingredients and it looks a little strange. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll be busy the next couple days recording with the great Mark Dvoretsky. But we'll see if we can sneak in the occasional show here and there. And else, yeah, I hope we have some cool video series to look forward to. Yeah, the usual. Go premium, tell a friend about this fantastic show of mine. That's about it. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Laters.